Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Pinball Arcade. So today we're looking at Wild Card. We played Jack's Wild before, so it'd be really weird if it turned out that this was the exact same table, but I don't think it is. If anything, this is a Williams 1997 table, where this was a Gottlieb 1977 table. So they would be competitors. Let's hop in here. Wildcard 1977 was the last electromechanical single-player game produced by Williams, featuring art by Christian Marche. Now, that's a funny sentence because um, it could be comma featuring art by Christian Marche, or it could be this was the last electromechanical single-player game uh, produced by Williams. With the art of Christian shit. That's a run-on sentence. Like there's an emphasis here. Um, Electromechanical meaning it, I assume, doesn't have any uh, transistors or modern circuitry in it. It's using relays and a older generation of technology, mostly forgotten by today's standards. This table is built as a fitting into the Williams EM era, so it was the last electrical mechanical pinball table. So that it should have a comma there, or parentheses featuring art by Christian Marche, with wild ball action feeding the wide range of shots that make this table engaging with every game played. Complete card sets to light specials around the table and increase the value of the tough upper eject shot for big points. Don't forget to catch the valuable left lane rewards on each new ball to maximize your score. Put your best poker face on and play wild card. 901 units were produced. So by far, this is the fewest number of units we've seen so far. Let's go over here and look at the table. So, the camera seems oddly zoomed out here more than normal. It does seem like they kind of just don't bother to put the camera in the same place. So here we have a 6-digit score, whereas every table up until this point has just been a 5-digit score. And you have a Western comic book style, I would say, in the animation. And you have some cleavage, but by 2021 standards, fairly tame dress. You have some orange hats and blue hats. Seems like there's a prospector. You have people smoking, which that would be considered a no-no by today's date. I imagine the blonde-haired lady is supposed to be kind of more European origin, where the black-haired lady is supposed to be more Mexican. Williams wildcard says balls to play, but I don't see a counter there. Here you can see he has 4 2s and a 4, and this guy has a 4, and this guy has an ace. So it doesn't look like anybody's cheating. Maybe that square in the middle is supposed to be the indicator of how many balls are left. And then it says play flipper skill games for fun and recreation. You have a picture, burlesque picture up front that again is not really showing too much. Bartender looking side eye, sheriff. So it paints quite a picture. A lot of people there in the depiction. A lot going on in this table. You can see it's like a pyramid of scores. We have 2 jokers, where there were no jokers in the previous card game. This one does not have a way in which the ball from the in lane can go out to the out lane, although it might be able to simply jump forward. I wish there was a way to zoom in here. It might be able to jump over the wire, but I doubt it. That also means that there are There are no way to get the outlaying ball back in play. No kickbacks, still no center peg. The wires are directing the ball directly down it, but they are angled a little bit differently, so they would bounce the ball back maybe a little bit more. We have 4 aces and 4 twos that can light up. A lot of lights here, frankly, even in the lower playfield. And then you have a 2 of diamonds and a 2 of spades seeming to light up when you hit that drop down target on the edge, or an ace of hearts and an ace of spades when you hit that. Then the left lane they said was a big focus, so do that where there is not as big of a right lane over here. There's a special that feels like it actually locks the ball for a multi-ball, and then there's a drop down skill shot target in the middle, and then some bumpers for a couple more aces and a couple more twos. So you're making all of the cards sets with aces and twos, but by the looks of it, which is exactly what he had too, is a bunch of twos and a 4. No aces. What are the pro tips here? Specials left lane and spinners. There's a spinner in the middle, so that middle shot is going to hit you back up to the 2 bumpers in the middle, which are smaller size bumpers. But that's kind of a nice way to do it. If anything, the spinner does make an interesting argument, because that means the ball is less likely to come down at full speed down the center lane. As far as our goals, complete the ace of clubs, complete the 2 of spades, complete the top right lane, light the spinner, and score 100,000 points. Let's look at the flyer. This honestly looks like a more modern printing style than all the flyers we've seen before this. So maybe they had a different printer Williams did, or maybe just the technology of printing had improved a little bit. But yeah, that looks much brighter and well done. The only thing I would say here is that they're showing 2 images of what looks to be exactly the same flyer, as if the game creators of Pinball Arcade made a mistake here and put the same image twice, or there's something just ever so slightly different here. I can't tell a difference though. It's like, spot the difference. All right, let's scale back out and see if we can spot any difference between these 2 flyers. I don't see any difference at all. Like, it all looks exactly the same. Maybe the flyer was just printed on both sides. I mean, that's about all I can guess, because this looks like they literally just loaded the same image twice. Alright, well, let's hop in and start playing. If it wants me to score 100,000, then I kind of have to feel like this is going to be a fairly low scoring table. Getting a sunken target, drop target up there is going to be fairly difficult, because you've got to hit the ball all the way to the top, or shoot it from the plunger when you start, with enough momentum for it to get up there. But not with enough momentum that it wouldn't actually fall into the hole. This is one of the more old school scoring ways too, in which they just use a bunch of lights to indicate your score, and so it kind of compounds up. So you'll get up to 50,000, and then it'll give you 55,000, and then it will give you like 50 plus 40,000, which would be 90,000. Yeah. And then once all the lights are lit, that's when you start to get the double bonus usually. I believe Gorgar is very similar to that. Like I'm at 250,000, and interestingly it's counting down, so it says ball 1, but that means I have 1 ball left instead of this is the first ball you've played. I guess that also means that if you set it up to play with only 3 balls, it would show the people that they could have had 5 balls, and I imagine people would not have been happy about that. So immediately we get a high score of 300,000, which is half of the top high score. We haven't made it to a top high score on any of the tables yet. So what's the one goal we didn't get? Complete 2 of spades. First game. This is a much better use than most of the tables we've seen so far, or pretty much all the tables we've seen so far as the lower play field. There's still not a ton of stuff going on in the lower play field, but I can't complain that much. This is also one of those tables where if you can just lock in your shot and hit it 4 times, you'll get rewarded quite a bit. I guess I was wrong about the score doubler being involved around having to light up everything in the pyramid. I guess you get the score doubler for probably hitting the left lane. I'd say the bumpers might have a bit of a trouble. There's nothing that would randomly hit the 2 and aces drop targets, where it would be nice if there was kind of a bumper situation where you might accidentally get rewarded for bouncing off a wall. Yeah, and until I manage to light up all of the 4 2s by hitting the drop target on the right, nothing else I do matters. But once I do pull that off, I will be fairly well set, I imagine, to get the wizard challenges, because I bet they aren't that difficult. Either that, or I had a whole bunch of beginner's luck on the first game, and now it's just gonna be all shame going forward. The tables so far have all had fairly wide out lanes, where it is feasible and possible to make it a lot more difficult for the ball to ever make it to the out lane. We can see that left lane is a lane that you're going to very often not make it all the way to the top. I've played some tables like that, and I don't particularly appreciate scenarios like that where you potentially are going to just fizzle out with your shot, and it's just going to not make it more often than it does make it. Come on. Yeah, the left drop target is playing a lot like that too. So I'm trying really hard to hit the left drop target. Okay, so that was all the standard goals. We don't know what the other goals are, but if I was to guess, it probably is score a lot of points in one ball, get more than get everything that can be done, maybe score a skill shot in the launch, maybe get the spinner to spin a bunch of times. If it is get the spinner to spin a bunch of times, that would be the first time that we've had that as a goal, but this is also, I think, the first table we've had that has had a spinner. You would think that that right lane drop target would save up for multi-ball, but it just doesn't. So that pretty much means that, with the exception of the one table that did have multi-ball that we played, I imagine there's maybe 2 or 3 tables, 2 or 3 pinballs in the table in total, whereas more modern pinball tables would have 4, 5, 6 pinballs ready to go just in case. So wizard goals: earn the upper special, earn the out lane special, score 100,000 point bonus. The bonus: score 300,000 on one ball and roll the score. What does roll the score mean? It's important to note that the table counted the balls in play backwards. A 5-ball game would start with 5 lit here, and count down each drain. Interesting. So I assume roll the score means they want you to go over 199,999. So even though it does have 6 reels, the score on the top reel seems to roll over after 100,000. There is something to unlocking the 2 jokers by filling out like both of the aces and 2s. So this is definitely a table that you want to target hitting the drop down areas on the left and right. So this would be probably an intermediate to expert table as far as practicing getting your shot just right, because you're not going to get rewarded, and you're probably going to get punished very severely if you don't hit the drop down targets, whereas the hot shot table would give you something almost every time, even if you were a little off on your shots. So yeah, as the years go further, the tables get more complicated and more difficult. That was an interesting event I just saw there, where the ball almost fell into the hole at the top and then curved just a little bit because of the rim of it. That's something that happened in real pinball a lot, whereas in programming and a binary way of thinking, it probably would not normally have ever happened. Let's see. I don't know if I get anything if I hit the left drop down target at the moment. I almost had that score. It's funny how the camera doesn't even choose to follow. And I probably have hit a button to tell it not to follow. Yeah. It doesn't really feel like there is a skill shot for syncing it when you first launch. And there is still a kind of lack of energy in the plungers, and I don't know if that's because that's the way the plungers really were, or if that's just because they programmed them weak. Like, the little markers, the triangles on the plunger are supposed to be there theoretically to make you feel like you can control the strength of your shot and thus control the outcome of where it's going to land. But if the ball doesn't even make it up the ramp until you're past the halfway point, you've got something wrong there. Man, it is just such an odd angle. Like, I am trying my best to get the ball down that sinker, and it is just not happening. Meanwhile, I need to get better at shooting with the other side up that ramp, because that's what we would want every time, is to hit that ramp from that side. That spinner certainly is making a lot of noise, but we still are no music. I thought it was 199,990 that they wanted it to roll, but it seems like they've just made a mistake. It looks like it's 999,000. I wonder how many tiny little mistakes exist for a bunch of these tables. Because it does look like they made a mistake with the flyer. It does look like the wizard goal is wrong. You're not going to roll the score, at least the way it's being depicted. Let's see. Wizard goals. Score 100,000 bonus. Score 300 on one ball. And then roll a score. 999,990. Okay. So I misread it. Not my mistake, not theirs. Which pretty much does say that this table is not one I'm likely to get all the wizard goals on. I would just have to have a really successful run if that was going to be the case. I would say that this table is not as helpful as the previous Jack's Wild table, as far as there were two different ways you could move forward in the main goal, where here there are very specifically only one places where you can shoot to move the goals forward. And everything else is extra. I suppose that is the split between just playing random pinball to keep the ball in play and actually trying to accomplish the goals and get the higher scores. A lot of pinball tables and a lot of things you can do on pinball tables are just giving you very minimal scores while it waits for you to actually do the thing it wants you to do. Which, imagine if that were the case in regular video games where you were supposed to, like, save the world in an RPG, and instead you just spend all your time hunting the low-level rats in the game and grinding and not realizing that you were grinding. So there might even be a small argument towards the idea of making grinding not interesting, and that's why grinding tends not to be particularly interesting in RPGs and video games. It's because if they did make it too interesting, people might think that that was what they intended you to do. That being said, there's plenty of survival games out there where it is just all grind, and that's all it's selling itself on. Come on. One ball left. Not even sure what would light up the special in the top there. I'd have to say I don't particularly enjoy this table. It's got too tight of requirements. I'm just not running into anything that I can lock in and say this is my shot that I'm good at. It's just a lot. Although, in all fairness, this is fairly closer to what later pinball tables were. A lot of things, a lot of different things that you were going to hit, even if you were aiming for other things. As there is a constant desire to creep up the action level in pinball. But there's just a lot of dead places where the ball is just hitting a rubber band bumper. And I would have much preferred it to be hitting either a drop down target or something else. Something of relevance, not just bouncing off a wall effectively. I guess that pretty much says that I would not be particularly a fan of pachinko, where the balls are just bouncing off of pegs and the walls. Although, that I'm speaking of classic pachinko, not the highly visual, crazy pachinko machines that Japan has nowadays. Those are very much a different thing. I feel like to get the upper special, you probably have to light up all the drop targets in the center play field. And I feel like the bumpers in the upper play field are not positioned where you can actually hit that one lit drop down, not drop down target, but target. And the bumpers are kind of offset in such a way that when you shoot the ball straight up the spinner anyways, the bumpers knock it back down. Yeah. This table is kind of combining the problems of all the previous tables that we've seen, in that they all still are very easy to drain a ball out just randomly within the first 10-15 seconds of a ball being launched. And this one has a bunch of places where you've got difficult shots or just walls that you can hit that don't reward you for hitting that point on the table. So that there is kind of an instant frustration I have with this table. Now, I think this may be the first Williams table we've done also, so Williams may have a narrative. I couldn't possibly remember if I preferred like Gottlieb versus Williams versus Stern or anything like that. If anything, I think I might like Stern the best. But that would just be kind of a guess. But we may see a narrative where Williams tables are just incredibly difficult and playing to a different mentality than the more noob-friendly games from the other developers. At a certain level, though, if I was going to be able to purchase like one pinball table and somebody offered me one that was full of tight shots and that I might have more challenge on versus someone offer me a pinball table that was stupid easy and I would master instantaneously and probably get bored on, I still think I would prefer the stupid easy and get bored with it choice over a frustratingly hard one. Like, I don't ever want to walk away from a table and just be like, yeah, I'm not having fun with this. And that's my experience with this one. Is just not giving me the feedback I want or the experience I want. And you could have probably made some tweaks to this table. To adjust it, like the bumper behind the drop down target on the left. If you remove that and had the arc start behind the drop down target and go all the way up to the loop, that would be interesting because, yeah, let me show what I'm talking about here before we wrap up. I really have no desire to go further with this. If this target was a drop down target, but then it went further and there was no wall here, and then it just continued this loop, that would be nice. You get rid of that bump there. If this section was a little bit more triangular, so the outlanes were a little bit harder for the ball to fall into, that would be nice too. If this lane here could potentially go back into the launch tube, that would be interesting. Or if it connected to this section here and went up and back this way, that'd be fine. These bumpers need to be arranged, I think, in parallel with more room in between. So maybe you get rid of this wall completely and this lane completely to do that. This drop down target, the ace of spades, is impossible to hit. I don't even see where the ace of clubs is. It is this lane. It's the two of clubs, actually. So, yeah. To get all the twos, you basically have to go through this twice, go through this and hit that drop down target. This wall that separates the lane versus these bump targets maybe again you get rid of that, or maybe you, yeah, I think you just get rid of it completely and have right about there cut off, um, because that is just another place where you're bumping against the wall, and then it's feeding you an angle that's fairly directed towards the center. This feels like a very greedy table in particular. Also, your artwork is definitely getting overdrawn horribly here. That you have this poker table and all these scoring going on, and then the face of the character is getting unfocused on. You probably didn't need the triangles in front of the bumpers. The drop down target in the center is a little bit classic, but you could have potentially cut out on some of this big block here that doesn't have anything going on there too. You could potentially, I think, have some more artwork where it's just solid blue there too, because that is fairly abrupt. It's fairly normal to have the launcher launch the ball all the way to the top. At a certain point, it kind of makes more sense to not even have a plunger with electronic tables, and instead just launch the ball from the top to start with. But I think people enjoy the feedback of a plunger. The ladies don't really play a role. The characters in the game don't really play a role, but whatever. That's been true for all the pinball games so far. Yeah. Not particularly happy with that one. Complete both cards, card hands. Completing both card hands lights Joker 1. When Joker 1 is lit, the upper right lane is lit during the special, so that's why I never collected that. Shoot and eject it here. Shoot the eject here to collect the special. Completing both card hands when Joker 1 is lit lights Joker 2, and then that lights the right out lane special. Alright, what lights the left one? The lit special is switched between the right and the left out lane with each hit of the slingshots. Yeah, I guess that's what those are called, the rubber bands. Slingshots. Too many slingshots. Okay. So you would have had to light up the 2s and aces twice to get those. Score 100,000 bonus. Let's see. For each shot to the eject hole here, or the saucer here, oh, those are called saucers. I never call them that. Up to 50,000 points. Bonus also is increased by 5,000 points for each light lit in the upper right lane here, each time the eject is shot. So, so you basically need to get it to 50,000 and doubled by shooting the left lane twice to get the double bonus. So basically the only way to get that done would have been to get your score up to 50,000 and been really good at shooting the left lane twice to double your points. And Gorgar is very much like that too. Getting the 300,000 in one ball, also probably requiring a lot of double points, and then rolling the score. I mean, if you can get 300,000 in one ball, then you would have 4 other balls to get the remaining 700,000 or thereabout. But yeah, I'm just not feeling that game compared to Jack's Wild, which I just literally played, and am missing only 2 scores for, and frankly, I kind of would like to play some more. There's just a lot more reward here for accidentally missing. If you don't hit, for instance, if you're trying to get the jacks here, you would need that blackjack and the red jack, but if you hit something else, you're getting some points and the game continues. And if you can't hit the 2 jacks, then you can hit the upper lanes, and you've got a playfield here with 3 bumpers in a nice pattern. Very little going on the side as far as ramps. Pretty difficult to hit the out lanes, although this does have that potential of the in lane draining to the out lane. This is just a more simplistic table, and yet, to my feel, it's a much better table. It was much more addictive and much more fun because I was actually winning compared to Wild Card. Alright, well, next time we'll look at Genie, which doesn't have a pro mode, which may not mean much, but it probably just means it's a fairly simplistic table. That's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want to friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. And if you want to support me further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.